Welcome back to the Greenhouse Music Podcast.
Best music class you've ever heard. It's the best music class you've ever heard.
It's Miss Delana.
Hey friends, in 2 weeks we have a very special day coming up, and that is the 2-year anniversary of the Greenhouse Music Podcast. Now, I need your help. I'm wanting to hear from all of you music listeners and creators out there. With your parents' permission, I would love to hear from you guys. Who is your favorite musical artist? Who are you listening to this week? How old are you? What makes the Greenhouse Music your favorite musical class? Where are you listening from? Any musical fun facts that you love and want to share with other kids your age? I would love to hear all of these and so much more. So please send them in to greenhousemusicak@gmail.com. greenhousemusicak@gmail.com. I would love to read them on the air and have them be a part of our very special anniversary episode. And just think, maybe your question, comment, or story is going to be shared with other kids your age around the world. So go ahead, with your parents' permission, have them be involved. Get your name, your age, and where you're from, and share your favorite musical story. I can't wait to read or watch them all. greenhousemusicak@gmail.com. Hope to see you there. Hello, my sweet music friends and music makers. It's Miss Delana. I've got a new story for you today, so you're going to have to use your imagination for this one. Picture a young boy, a sneaky wolf, in a forest that's about to get very loud. But here's a twist. Nobody has to say a single word for you to know exactly what's happening. And how is that possible? Well, music. Why, of course. By the end of this episode, you're going to hear how a Russian composer named Sergei Prokofiev created a magnificent musical work that was made for children. So it's perfect for this podcast, right? In fact, this is one of the most famous musical stories ever, and he created it in just 4 days. And you're going to discover why instruments sound like certain characters. Plus, we're going to uncover a secret about how music can actually solve problems in a story. Are you ready? Woohoo! Let's go. Okay, guys, welcome back to the Greenhouse Music Podcast. I'm Miss Delana, and I'm really excited to tell you about this story. So, Sergei Prokofiev was a composer way back in 1891 in Russia. He lived in a time when there were rules about how music was supposed to sound. Super serious rules. Very proper. But Prokofiev, well, he liked to break the rules. He wrote music that was a little strange, maybe a little edgy, and sometimes even a little bit scary. He didn't care if the fancy concert people didn't like it. He just wanted to create something wonderful. So picture it with me, if you can. April 1936, Prokofiev is living in the Soviet Union under a pretty scary government. And the government came to him and says, "Hey, Sergei, we want you to write something that teaches kids about orchestral instruments. Make it simple, make it fun, and make it teach." A scary government did that? Well, here's the thing about music. Even scary governments know that it can be wonderful for education. So Mr. Sergei said yes. And here's the amazing part. He did it in 4 days. 4 days to write something that people are still playing 90 years later. Do you know what the name of this piece is that I'm talking about? It has a wolf. Does that sound familiar at all? Well, maybe. It's called Peter and the Wolf. So, this is what makes it genius. Prokofiev gave every single character their own instrument to teach kids about the orchestra. The bird, well, it's the flute, all fast and chirpy. The duck, an oboe, all quacky and sort of stubborn. The wolf, 3 French horns playing together in harmony. Deep and powerful, maybe a little bit sad, which is wild because wolves are supposed to be scary, right? But this wolf sounded lonely. This is called leitmotif, and that's a fancy word for a musical theme that represents a character. What was that? Leitmotif, a musical theme that represents a character. And when you know what each theme sounds like, you can hear the story happening before you. You don't need anyone to tell you what's going on. The music tells you. And these are actually some of my favorite types of songs and themes. Things like The Planets by Gustav Holst, or the Carnival of Animals by Camille Saint-Saëns, both of which I have episodes for that you should definitely go check out. So here's the thing really cool about Mr. Sergei here. He had a dark sense of humor. When the duck gets caught by the wolf in the story, she doesn't escape. The wolf swallows her alive. Wait, what? That is pretty dark, right? But Sergei wasn't being mean, he was being clever. He was showing us that the wolf isn't evil, the wolf is just hungry. That's part of life, and maybe a little bit lonely too, based on the sad French horn music. Sergei wanted us to feel something for the wolf, even though the wolf does something terrible. And that's a real character. So, did you know that the duck in the story actually gets eaten by the wolf, like I said, and in some recordings you can still hear the duck's oboe quacking from inside the wolf's belly at the end. And that was Prokofiev's way of saying, she might have been swallowed, but she still has a voice. She's not really gone. Not really. That's a bit silly to me. So, Sergei was born in southern Russia before the Bolshevik Revolution. By the time he entered the St. Petersburg Conservatory at age 13, he had composed 4 operas, a symphony, 2 sonatas, and many piano pieces. By the age of 13, that's amazing. His music was considered very avant-garde, radical, and modern for his day, and is distinguished by strong rhythms, distinctive melodies, harmonic dissonance, and percussive piano style. As a student, he liked to work with what he called new and spicy harmonies. That's pretty fun to learn about. With Peter and the Wolf, the orchestra is used to draw very clear characterizations of Peter, his animal friends, and his grandfather and the wolf. The story is usually performed with a narrator talking through the story. The meshing of the spoken word with the orchestra storytelling makes Peter and the Wolf interesting and enjoyable for listeners of all ages. Other works by Prokofiev include music for ballets, films, concertos, symphonies, piano music, and songs. Prokofiev composed Peter and the Wolf in 1936 at the request of Natalie Stas of the Central Children's Theater in Moscow. Her vision was a symphonic fairy tale that introduced Russian children to musical instruments. And together, they decided that associating those animals with instruments could help children sort out the tone colors. The composer completed the piece in just 4 days, and it was first performed at Moscow's Children's Theater on May 2nd, 1936. The first concert performance of the work outside Russia was by the Dublin Orchestral Players, June 1942, in Dublin, Ireland. Okay, music makers, here's where you get to become the detective. I'm going to play you a short instrument clip, maybe 8 to 10 seconds, and your job, well, 2. First, you'll listen and tell me what instrument and I'm hearing. Is it the flute, an oboe, French horns, something else? And then second, this is the fun part. You get to tell me what character in Peter and the Wolf you think plays the instrument. So I'm going to read you some of the characters first. That way you have them in the back of your mind before you listen. Here we go. Here's the characters to remember. There's Peter, the bird, the dog, the cat, the grandfather, the wolf, and the hunters. Keep those in mind while you listen. Now remember, there's not really a wrong answer. I want to hear your thinking. Why does a flute sound like a bird? Wait, how did you know that was the flute? Why does this instrument sound scary? What is this instrument I'm hearing right now? Is it in the horn section? Is it in the strings? Remember how I love to talk about musical clues? Well, here they are. Let's start with our very first instrument. So the first question is, what instrument did you think that was? Was it easy or difficult to figure out? Was it a low or high instrument? What kind of notes did you hear? Were they rough? Were they smooth? I'll give you a second to think about it before I give you your answer. That was the oboe. Notice how it sounds lower than the flute, kind of stubborn and kind of waddling? That's the duck. The oboe is a little bit grumpy and a little bit soft. The duck doesn't fly away from danger. It just waddles around like it owns the place. Gotta respect that a little bit. Okay, take a listen to our next instrument. Tell me what you think it is. So what did you hear? Yeah, that was the flute. Now, what animal do you think it's representing here? Which characters? This one is playing the bird character. High, fluttery, jumpy, and this bird is curious. It's checking out this brave kid. The flute is fast and chirpy because birds are fast and chirpy. Prokofiev knew we'd all get it immediately. Now let's find out our next instrument in character. Ooh, what do you think that one was? It's a pretty low instrument, don't you think? I wonder if maybe it sounds, like possibly a grumpy older man. Ooh, what do you think? I think that one's the grandfather, but what instrument was that? Might be a little tricky. It's because it's called the bassoon. The bassoon looks a lot like a clarinet, but it's so very low and warm sounding. What do you think about this game so far? Let's go to the next one. Now for that one, do you remember which instrument I said the bassoon kind of looks like? That gives you a hint to what instrument this one is. It's the clarinet. What kind of animal do you think the clarinet would represent? What did it feel like? Was it light and airy, or would you say it was sneaky? The animal the clarinet represents in Peter and the Wolf is the cat. Okay, friends, we only have 3 more. We have Peter, the wolf, and the hunters. Which one do you think this one is? I talked a little bit about this before, how a very specific character had multiple low and bright sounding instruments. They were what kind? Horns, possibly? That's right. They were a bunch of French horns, and that instrument was the wolf, a scary and hungry predator that comes out in the forest. It's represented by all 3 French horns. All right, let's get to our last 2. I actually happen to like that one the most. What kind of instrument did it sound like? Did it sound like horns, woodwind instruments, piano, drums? What do you think? Those were string instruments. In fact, this is a string quartet. It has the violin, the viola, the cello, and the double bass. What character do you think it represents the best? That would be our brave young boy, Peter, who kind of ignores his grandfather to catch the wolf. He is represented by this whole string quartet, and it shows a little bit of goofiness and fun adventure. Now, this last one, you don't have to guess because there's not that many left. But it is the hunters. Except what instrument do you hear? Take a listen. What instruments do those sound like to you? Do they sound like a flute? I don't think so. That is the timpani. The timpani is including the big drums, the kettle drums, and it's so much fun. But what makes it interesting for the hunters is it kind of sounds like it's gunshots blazing, and it's the characters who come at the end. So, how did you do, friend? Did you do pretty good? I think it's a fun little game, and I love doing it because music is full of so many stories and musical clues. Well, those are the best. Plus, I like being a little detective. What about you? Okay, here's what I'm listening to. This week, I'm listening to Leonard Bernstein's 1916 recording of Peter and the Wolf with the New York Philharmonic, and here's why I picked it. Bernstein narrates the whole thing. He's kind of like your friend telling you a campfire story, but wow, the orchestra is playing, and it's so good. If you can buy it, find it on Spotify, or even just watch it on YouTube for free with your parents' permission. It's a really cool piece. But what I want you to listen to when you do is listen for the moment the wolf theme comes in. Notice how your whole body might tense up a little. Well, that's Prokofiev's working his magic. That's the power of choosing the right instrument for the right feeling. And then, well, this is important, listen to the very end. After all the action is over and everyone is marching to the zoo, there's a moment of music that sounds really strange, kind of like an enormous orchestra sneeze. Achoo! Okay, now for our next segment, listen back to learn more. Here's something cool. Prokofiev wasn't the only composer who used instruments to tell stories. Remember way back there, episode 77, we talked about Tchaikovsky and his famous ballets? Tchaikovsky did the exact same thing. He gave characters their own melodies, their own instruments, and that's actually an idea that was huge in Russia. Russian composers were obsessed with making music paint pictures. Remember, Tchaikovsky was Russian, just like Prokofiev. So if you want to hear how another composer used instruments as storytelling, go back and listen to episode 77. You'll hear the same idea working in a completely different way, with different characters and different instruments, but the same magic. Now, here's my challenge for you this week. Think of a character. It could be a superhero. It could be your pet. It could be a family member that you love. It could be a character from a movie. Ask yourself, if this character was a musical theme, what instrument would play them? And what would they sound like? Would they be fast like a flute? Deep like a tuba? What about gentle like a harp? There's no wrong answer. And here's the cool part. If you want to share your idea with me, I want to hear it. And that's exactly what I'm asking you to do. I need your guys' help. So I want to remind you, this podcast is, well, for you. And I want to know what you think. And here's how you can reach me and why it's very special to do it now. I'm about to have our second birthday for the podcast, and I need help from my listeners, all of you. Do you have a musical question? I want you to ask it. Want to share what you're listening to this week? Tell me. Here's your favorite musical artist that you want to share? Well, I want to know who inspires you. Did you create a character theme based on my challenge? Send it in. I want to hear it. Or just want to tell me why you love this podcast? Well, that means the world to me. And of course, I want to hear that too. Send in your thoughts to greenhousemusicak@gmail.com. Send in a fun fact or whatever you'd like to share with your first name and your age, and maybe the city that you're from, or whatever your parent is okay with. And I might just say it on the air for you and give you a shout out. I need your help to make our next birthday episode super special. Can you help me out? Ooh, ask your parents first before you do so. Now, one last thing before you go. I need to tell you something kind of fascinating about that orchestra sneeze I mentioned. In Eastern European folklore, and this is real, if someone sneezes while you're telling a story, it means the story is true. It's like a confirmation or a blessing. So the sneeze at the very end of Peter and the Wolf, well, Prokofiev wasn't being random. He was saying, hey, this story is true. These characters are real. And that duck, it's still alive in the wolf. It's kind of fun, huh? Music can tell such great stories, and it can make us feel deep things. And music can even solve problems we didn't know existed. And that's the power that Prokofiev created. Thanks for hanging out with me today. You just listened to the Greenhouse Music Podcast, the best music class you've ever heard. I'm Miss Delana, and I'll see you next time. Keep making music, keep listening, and keep wondering. Bye for now, music makers. Hey friends, in 2 weeks, we have a very special day coming up, and that is the 2-year anniversary of the Greenhouse Music Podcast. Now, I need your help. I'm wanting to hear from all of you music listeners and creators out there. With your parents' permission, I would love to hear from you guys. Who is your favorite musical artist? Who are you listening to this week? How old are you? What makes the Greenhouse Music your favorite musical class? Where are you listening from? Any musical fun facts that you love and want to share with other kids your age? I would love to hear all of these and so much more. So please send them in to greenhousemusicak@gmail.com. greenhousemusicak@gmail.com. I would love to read them on the air and have them be a part of our very special anniversary episode. And just think, maybe your question, comment, or story is going to be shared with other kids your age around the world. So go ahead, with your parents' permission, have them be involved. Get your name, your age, and where you're from, and share your favorite musical story. I can't wait to read or watch them all. greenhousemusicak@gmail.com. Hope to see you there.